All right, let's go. We are live, man. So
What's
as you know,
up?
my handle, I am Joey. Joey is me. I'm so sorry for the late. Um, yeah, technical difficulties is a real thing. But without further ado, we gonna get straight to it. We got my man. I ain't gonna say your name, bro, because the YouTube people might say it's blasphemous and stuff. But go ahead and introduce yourself, my brother.
I don't know. The algorithm loves me online right now so far, so I ain't got a problem. But
Go ahead, bro. Talk your shit, then,
they
bro. Go
call me
ahead.
hippie black Jesus, man.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
all love and peace. Hippie black Jesus everywhere you can find me. Instagram, Spotify, YouTube, Twitch.
Yeah, he be in
We
them
out
Twitch
here. We
streets,
out
YouTube.
here.
He be in the Twitch streets,
Oh,
man. We gotta get you.
absolutely.
Hey,
We
hey,
out
are
here
you on
playing
YouTube though, bro?
here Smash. Oh yes, same thing. Everything. Hippie black Jesus everywhere.
Oh shit, I'm a sub. I'm a sub.
Beat
Once we get out of
online.
here, bro, I'm a sub on it. I'm a sub
Oh
on it
man, I
for
already
sure.
been. What's funny is I'm already been following you, bro. Don't even
Oh
worry about
shit,
that.
my fucking god! I will follow you right back, bro. It's all good, my brother. Real quick
It's
for the
all love.
YouTube people though, I just want to apologize, peoples. I know before last week I went on a little hiatus. I was just, it's not as easy as it seems to keep up a schedule when you're trying to do a million other things at the same time. So, I'm gonna definitely be a lot more consistent. Last week I put one up. This week next week we won't have one. I got it. I got y'all, man. So I hope y'all still get to view it whenever y'all do. Hope y'all enjoying it. It takes time to make connections. My man,
No,
the gentleman you see here, we've been networking for months on end at this point. And real quick, shouts out to Miko Six. I definitely could give
yo,
him the
that's my
credit for making that happen. And
definitely
yeah,
man. Bridging me.
he ain't graced the YouTube side of me yet, but we gonna get him on. He a busy cat, man. He hard to get a hold of, man. Just like you though. But let's get
Oh
started with it though,
yeah.
bro. Let's make it do
Not
what it
just
do,
like
man.
real talk. I want to tap into something you just said right there. It takes a while to put out good work and good energy, man. Sometimes it takes longer than others. It takes, sometimes you feel it, and sometimes you just get right into it, and you can start from day one, and you just knocking it out. And some days you got to build up to those points where you can just put together something great
Yeah,
and be happy with it. It takes
and
time.
and not only that, brother, but I'm gonna double down on that and say that I'm a firm believer in the vetting process, and that's not to say that it's the same vetting process across the board, but I do believe that as people we don't take enough time to try to really tap in with people that we collabing with or working with. People, and it's understandable, keep it to the business, yada 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 yada, but it's also good to kind of get kind of on a one-on-one level. Who knows, bro? It starts here. Who knows where it ends? You understand what I'm
And
saying? I'm a very firm
I'm gonna
believer in
tap
that.
I'm gonna tap in with you right there, and I agree with you 100%. It's more about, like you said, talking to the people behind the music, making sure they okay, how they doing, because all this music is coming from somewhere. It's coming from a place of their heart,
Right.
their mind, their soul, whatever, or it's just what they got to do. And when people extend that energy out there, you got to listen to it, and sometimes you got to double down and be like, "Yo, you good? How are you feeling today?" Just because we doing business doesn't mean I can't ask you how you doing. Tapping in
Bro,
with our fellow
exactly.
artists from
Exactly.
all
And
genres.
it's to me it's a slippery slope because one would say that it's you don't cross the lines of business and friendship, but I know people that have been in business together for years and they still call each other to ask about wives and shit or whatever the fuck. So like I said, man, it's to me it's like a humility type of thing. It's like get love thy neighbor allegedly. Kind of like
So,
that vibe.
and you know what? I want to talk about something right there. It really is. You got to be willing to give that energy to receive that energy. You know what I mean? Some people wanna.
Oh yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You got to
They
be
want to
willing
leech.
to reach out to your
They want to
brother.
cling on.
Yeah,
They want to cling on. They want to be the ones to be reached out to, but they don't want to do the reaching out. Man,
and they
listen.
don't realize, like you just said, to do something great, it takes putting in work on both ends. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Both actual work in the
compromise.
craft and then on the emotional level.
Keeping in mind who you're actually working with as well. It's a whole thing, man.
What's
But
going on with them?
let's exactly, bro. Exactly, my brother. But let's get into it, man. So, what I want to start with is, kind of tell the people a little of, because you are a musician, no doubt about it. But
Yes,
kind of
sir.
tell us where you more or less specialize
So
in, according to you, of course.
my specialty as a musician, I will say, is musical production and composition. Um,
Okay, okay,
arranging music and producing beats from scratch and creating something that an artist can hop on in any way, shape, or form and tackle the way they see fit, or even giving an artist a challenge via a beat. That's what it is for me. So making the beats, um, giving the artist, their lane to flow in. You know what I mean? Because every artist
right,
is great, but like it's those backing tracks. Every track we like, every jam we like, a producer sat behind that with the artist. They got to talk, they got to do business together, they talk to each other, and they kind of made something beautiful. And that's where
right.
my end is at. I'm always trying to be the person like, yo, I'm making these beats, da 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 da. I want you to take a listen because I feel it's good for you, not just for you musically, but it's good for you to listen to. And that's where I stand with that. I am the producer. You know what I mean?
So would you say that you're something of like a dot connector in a sense to where in the back end of every let's say every song you got to have the brain, the person that puts this sound and that sound and makes what people dance to or what people cry to, what people feel to. You know what I mean? What
Yeah,
people make love to. So would you
yeah,
say that
definitely
that's
that.
you know what I mean? So would you say
I
that
get what
that's
you're
kind of
saying.
your role?
I wouldn't call myself the king though. For the only thing is, and when
No, but
it's
just the
that
dot
is it's a
connector. The dot
partnership.
connector.
The guy put in the yeah, I would say I'm kind of the dot connector because every good rapper needs a good beat, regardless. You know what I mean? Like you can spit the greatest bar ever, but if you spin it over a horrible beat, you might as well have said nothing. So I want to say
Yeah,
I am
and
the dot connector, making that bridge between a good lyricist and then a good artist or a good performer. I'd rather say, you know what I mean? Because
no, no doubt, no doubt.
everyone can bring that out, but sometimes you got to have that person that does put that together. And I will say that is me.
Oh no, and honestly, man, I give it so much credit because it literally is an art form, man. It's like, you know, uh, when I think of music production, especially, thinking about just examples that I've had just in my life, hearing a story like Kanye's, hearing of like Jermaine Dupri, these big name guys, Metro Boomin, these
Mm,
guys that they literally are the scientists behind the music that through all these even to this day that we'll listen to, we'll get down to all of the above. So with that being said, it's not enough credit given to it to where you'll every now and then you'll hear of a rapper that ends up falling out with a producer. And it's like, of course, there's always nuances and back end shit to every situation. But to me, it's like, the producer already comes in as like an afterthought, because you not, you might you don't always know the producer unless you're looking at the credits. Sometimes, they'll gracefully, if the name is big enough, it'll say featuring yada yada, and you'll know that, they had the production there. But in the end of the day, the producer's an afterthought because what we thinking about is, oh shit, hold up, what is Nas saying? What does this person say? What is that person saying? But we not saying, oh, who put these melodies together? I'm
and
sure. Go ahead.
I want to tap in with you right there, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. There are far too many great producers, just like the ones you listed, Metro Boomin, Ron J, all of them that are they found their craft and they did not get enough recognition for it because, like you said, these some of these producers have put multiple different artists on to their style or tracks and made bangers, made songs that we love, and they didn't get you wouldn't
Right.
even know. Like I'll give one example is Ronnie J. He's my example lately as someone who's worked with half the people in the industry, but you would not guess. He's worked with everyone from like, we don't really talk about him much, but he did 6ix9ine, Ski Mask the Slump God,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
you know, XXX, you know, RIP. He
Man,
worked
rest
with
in
all
peace,
of
brother.
them early on in the day, and we did not know about it. And even now, we're only figuring out now he was on the back end of a lot of these tracks, and you know, the DJ schemes of the world, like who are on the back end
Right,
of
right,
a
right,
lot
right,
of these
right.
tracks. They didn't get enough exposure, and now they're just getting some of the recognition that they deserve, and some of the credits on the songs that they deserve, because a lot of, like you said, they're not putting your producer on the back end credit. When you put your producer there, who's looking at that? You know, and said, like you said, we're trying to see what the artist's saying, but no one's taking the time to say, well, this style is unique. I'm noticing these beats come out here and there. Who's the person making these things? Who's the person controlling these sounds? Like you said, who's the scientist putting these connections together and getting these artists together and making this new sound? You know what I mean? And no one, not too many
Exactly.
people are taking time to figure out who's making their music. Really, we're too stuck on the lyricists sometimes to realize, like, yo, they all sound alike. I should look into that.
And you know what I like is that through it's a transcendent area of music as well, to where you know the big names that we know were not always big names,
True.
but you know there's always an evolution. You know, when we went away from the Swiss Beats and the Timberlands, we went into the Pierre Bournes and the, you know what I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we went into, and the South Sides, and you know, man, the list goes on, man. You know, Zaytoven, you know what I mean, like
Oh,
these are characters that, like,
I've had my eye
you
on
know, they,
Zaytoven for a while. Like
and
he's
that's
one of
the,
those ones I give him. I'm like, keep an eye on him, definitely.
do people even know Zaytoven? I don't
They
know.
probably
And that's
don't.
the thing.
I
It's like,
guarantee you, they know a song that he has produced. They
yeah,
have
man. I
bumped
mean,
to and
shit.
jammed to it. Matter
Probably
though.
to this day.
To
And
this day.
that's and that's the thing, man. I know I could definitely see where the allure of kind of being in that side of things, because you know, you hear about underground rappers, the concept of people that aren't necessarily pushed to the front, but they still let out body after body after body of work, and it hits. Look, rest in peace to Mr. MF Doom. You know,
Mm.
I, do you know what his face looks like? Because I don't. I don't think anybody does. And it's like the lore is there, but at the same time, like
There's too
it
much respect.
you get, I feel like this, you get, no doubt, from name to name, you know, respect varies, no doubt about it. But what I want to kind of get at is that you look at it and then you're like, man, like without the producers, there's no song.
There's no
Because
song.
if the rapper, like, you do know rappers that produce their own stuff, but there is no, that's like the cycle of life. Like, you cutting off the producer would be you literally messing up the whole formula. You know,
Because
it's like
that
you can't.
there is a formula to that, man. That's why you need an
No,
engineer. You can't
absolutely.
be your own engineer.
And with that, I want to segue into this. So, what I want to ask you is, what is more or less your creative process when looking at music task, or let's say you know, you're like, man, you know, I have this gentleman, he says he wants to kind of sound like this. How do you tackle a situation like that, and then what's the creative process behind it as well? As
So
I real
I'm gonna
quickly
take.
slip
I'm
in
gonna.
my little edible, you know, shouts out to Grand Pearls. You know, these guys make a really good gummy for my peoples in Oregon. You know, tap in with the Grand Pearls, or yo, they full on the products. They got chocolate, gummies, all type of shit, man. And I promise you, this shit does not taste like it got weeded, but it, believe me, it does. You see
Yo, I can
the little
second that.
sign right there. But go ahead, my brother. Go ahead. I'm gonna let you talk on that now.
No, of course. So I'm gonna take this more as let's say an artist came to me and asked me to sound like another, you know, more well-known artist, right? How I would go at tackling that first, I would first make sure that this is what the artist wants to do. You sure you want to take your sound into someone else's direction? No, I would get on a one-on-one level with them real quick. Be like, yo, do you want to do that?
You sure you want to take this? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Um, and then I would basically just, at that point, it comes down to building a beat from scratch. You want to sound like this? Okay. So it almost lessens the creative process. It makes it a bit easier. Instead of having to come up from something from scratch and figure out something inside my head that works and that, you know, that they like. they've now filtered down the types of instruments I can use, the keys I can use, even the tempo
Right.
down that. And from a production side, that makes that so much easier for me to do. I don't have to make that up on for myself. I don't have to create that.
You
I
don't have to
have
go
your
on the
template.
fly.
Yeah. So I can use your template. And essentially the template is, my process will be like, I'll use reference songs. I love that. I'm definitely one of those people.
Oh
I will
shit,
listen
man!
to.
I was just about to ask you, do you take like a body of work and say, okay, this is, and then jazz it up, or and then you go ahead and answer?
I would rather. I'm gonna say I'm a more like. Okay, I'm gonna stand by one principle. I don't necessarily always like sampling. I can and will do it on request if you ask me. But if you ask for something original, you're gonna get something original. That is my specialty. So what I'll probably end up doing is listening to a few bodies of work by that artist or artists similar to that, or I'll do what nobody does. I'll find out who that. Let's say they give me an artist like they want a Drake's producer. Cool. They want to sound like Drake or something. I'll be like, all right, cool. Who's produced Drake's last latest album or whatever? And I'll see other works that producer has made for other artists, and I'll be like, all right, cool. Now I know what sounds you use and what instruments you use and how you use your process.
Whoa.
And now it's just my job to mimic it with my
my
instruments.
question to you is at this point is, so you're saying that you're that well versed in the whole game, and to that I ask you, how, like, what was the process getting there? Because man, that sounds that's like somebody in my brain, in my pothead brain. To me, that sounds like somebody who could smell some flower and tell you, like, yeah, it has this terpene, or it's this, it's that, or even name the strain just by smelling it. So can you explain a little of that process?
What's a little crazy, man, is I am as far as connoisseurs of weed, I like to say I'm one of those people. I can try to tell you, oh, that's an indica, or that's a sativa, or that's a little bit heavy, or like da 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 da. But that's only because I myself, I smoke quite a lot of bud. I love my bong. Definitely a big help in the creative process.
Yes,
right there.
And we'll definitely get into that in a few. But
yeah, most definitely. So as far as the music, I will give a little bit of my backstory.
Go ahead.
I was a little bit. I have a little bit of classical training. I did not originally start out as a hip hop producer. I did not originally even start out in the genre of hip hop at all.
Hold up, big bro. We got some people in the chat. I just noticed. Hey, shouts out to moms in the building. Mom, I love you, mom. Love you. Shouts out to you. We got Suzanne Bennett. Shouts out, Suzanne.
Oh, love you.
Shouts out. But go ahead, my brother. You can continue now.
Hey, man, all the love and threw me off just a little bit. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate y'all. I wasn't originally classically trained in hip hop. So my first and foremost, my background, when I originally first picked up music for myself in life, I learned how to classically get trained on a piano. So I can hear notes in my head sometimes, like, I can tune things by ear, because, in piano, they kind of teach you the very different scales and the differentials between, an E sharp, an E minor, and an E major, you know what I mean? And you got to know all of that and what it sounds like consecutively together with other notes. I used some of that to translate over into my own personal musical career when I started doing more like rock on the side, like psychedelic rock. I was very much into influenced by like Beatles, Jimi Hendrix, Earth, Wind and Fire, the Clearwater Clearance Revival.
Wow.
Yeah, man, I go way back.
And it's crazy because, man, real quick as an aside, this is the 27th episode, and almost everybody you mentioned is a part of the 27 Club. And mind you, let's remember, you requested to be on the 27th episode, so hopefully we'll get into it if that correlates at all.
All right, so we're gonna get into that, and I promise you, before this interview is out, we're gonna get into that. But that actually has a very special, very specific, very relevant meaning close to my heart.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
The 27 Club. That's we'll talk about them in a minute too.
Yeah, no doubt.
But as far as the musical process and getting to this point where I can understand and process music. I tend to break things down now that I like, because I have different sections of musical expertise, because I am both creative as far as music production and creating music, but I also learned how to play music via, piano notes, reading sheet music, writing sheet music. It forced me to hear notes individually. So when someone says, "Oh, I want to use XYZ instrument," I already know what they mean, kind of, because no one wants to hear like an 808 kick. You want that 808 kick to go hard. You want that 808 kick to slap.
And
You
once
want it to kick.
and real quick, brother, excuse me if I sound ignorant for this one, for this question, but is that something that like you could speak in terms of A minor here or B flat there or um what's that other note called, crescendo? Like you could speak in those terms as it pertains to the music, or is it just
Yes,
being able to
to
hear?
a
Wow,
degree.
okay.
To a degree.
Because
Like I can
honestly,
tell you what
that's
a
dope as fuck.
tremolo, crescendos, keys, playing different types of scales, the blues note scales.
Because
Um,
real quick,
the
man,
technical terms, honestly,
mhm,
honestly,
mhm.
I like people who use the technical terms, and it does show a certain level of expertise in your craft, but I'm all about making it easy and accessible for everyone. You know what I
I
mean?
mean, yeah, to me, that's very much. It's not like the end all be all. It's like the
It's just some
saying
people
that
who like to keep it secret. You know what I mean? People who keep their
some.
process and how they do shit secret. I'm like, why?
Mhm. Well, I mean, I could see the allure in keeping a process a secret because in the end of the day, man, like you really got to be careful what you put out. Because
True.
it's a lot of people just willing to copy and paste or say what you said somewhere else, and what we don't really think about is that like what goes hand in hand subconsciously with like plagiarism or like literally what I just said, you taking one thing and saying it in your way, but it's a whole different narrative altogether. But you using that for your narrative. It's like in the end of the day, like people, it subconsciously connects people to what the fuck you saying because you're taking what they saying, and spoken words are spells allegedly. So you speak them no matter how you saying them or what you're saying. It's an energy you're putting forth. So in the end of the day, like I could understand where one is like, man, like you this recipe got to stay in house. But at the same time, you to play devil's advocate, it's a beautiful thing in having people take from your pot and throw it in theirs and see what they do. As long as credit is given in all sides. But
Respect
it's
must be always given where respect is due,
and that's the
or where
thing, man.
credit is
Like
due.
it's a to me from what I could see from like I said, my pothead brain or intuition. What I'm seeing is like if the name isn't big enough, we could just shrug it off. Like I did this myself, and it like I said, man, it's a real ugly notion, because it's people that put all type of emotion, all type of actual like feeling into their shit. And I could only begin. I can't, but I can only begin to imagine like just what going through that situation through the psyche and through the actual real time going through it. You know what I mean? I could only imagine, bro.
Honestly, I will say, as far as now my production career full on, I've been thankful to not experience that. Is I can understand how someone could be very, very upset at someone putting time. You put time and energy in creating something, and someone else does it and just slightly changes it, or remixes it or whatever, and then you're just like, well, they're
Skewing the
making
message
money.
basically.
Yeah, they're changing all the energy that you put out and making it their energy. And it's almost worse when their message is the complete opposite message of what your message was. Because
Yes, and then
beats have messages.
oh yeah, are you kidding me, bro? Dude, they like it was a time we were being told that a torture tactic was having someone like watch a video or some shit and just have the headphones and hear it, bro. All of that is frequencies, bro. Like I remember one time I was watching an episode of Thousand Ways to Die, and the motherfucker really died from beats, bro. Like just listening to really loud beats and shit. And bro, that shit is wicked, man. And I mean, listen,
I
I ain't
want
gonna,
to.
I ain't gonna put
I gotta tap in you with you right there. You said something that is like
real
my core
quickly.
philosophy
I
that
just
people don't
want to
listen if they.
say, I just don't, I just don't want to put on my tinfoil hat right now, bro. But like I said, man, like that shit is wicked to me, man. But go ahead, brother.
Nah, I agree with you. I'm gonna put. You know what? I'm gonna put on a tinfoil hat for you and say
Go ahead, man.
people don't understand sometimes how powerful is the music they are listening to and how much that affects them on a daily, and how much what you're listening to and how much you're listening to and how loud you're listening to affects you even in the most minute ways on a psychological level that then affects
Yes,
your
sir.
whole day and how you're gonna go about acting. And then when you wonder why something when you wonder why, oh, why am I angry, or why am I more upset than I should be, or why am I acting irrational, you got to remember, what have I been listening to? What have I been pouring into my mind subconsciously?
What
What
have you been
beats and
feeding your mind with?
frequencies, what frequencies have been playing in my ear over and over and over and over again? um how has that been affecting me? Have I been listening to messages and frequencies that are going to be helping me, or I've been listening to like the same song? I'll be honest. I'm one of those people. Angry songs have their place. Sad songs have their place. All music has its place. But if you're only
Right.
listening to angry music or like songs with angry messages all the time, you're going to feel that. You're going to internalize that over time. And those frequencies, not necessarily good for the psyche either over time.
And you
It makes
know,
your
and
it's I just
go
want to talk
ahead
real
and
quick
make
about
sure.
the science of it. Sorry,
No, go
I had
ahead.
to
No,
pull
no,
it
no,
up,
no.
make
Please go
sure.
ahead,
But
bro.
the
Go
literal
ahead.
science of it is what it does. It affects your heart rate over time. Like if you're listening to something and
Mhm.
that frequency is causing your heart rate to race over time, that's causing your heart muscle to overwork. That's how we lead to, early heart disease, early heart conditions, and people who are young, people who may not have been. You were like, why did this happen? How do you get this so young? Did you watch what they were listening to, what they were doing? Did you reach out for them? You know what I mean? Did you check
And
on
real
them?
quick, and to think as brothers, we needed something else to fucking, lead us to heart disease and all this other stuff. It's such a
Bro.
conundrum, man, because like I said, you just think about like you sit back and you're like, what have I been listening to? You play a album of Chief Keef when he first came out, you might be ready to shoot some shit up.
Yeah,
Just like
and like,
if
hear
you
me out. I
if
want
you
to
play
interject. If
Luther
you in a
Vandross
bad
at that
place,
time at night, you might be ready to tear some up too. You understand what I'm
yeah,
on the other
but
end of
it's
that,
look, it's a two different, like you said, it's two
bro?
different
Two
spectrums
different.
of going at it.
Hmm.
Like, if you're in a bad mood and you listening to Chief Keef, I'm guaranteeing you won't stay in that bad mood. But if you're in a bad mood and someone forces you to listen to an entire Luther Vandross album and you sit down and listen to it, I don't think you can be mad if you really listening to
Shit,
the music.
man, you might have a kid on the way after
See, but you
that.
know what? You ain't gonna be mad. You're gonna be
Nah,
into the
that's
music because the frequency and the hertz change how you emotionally felt. And that's just to segue that back in. That's kind of what I try to do. Um, I will say a piece of me is in every beat I make, regardless of how long, how short, or whether it comes out or not. And there's a reason for that because you got to put good energy into your sound for people to feel it. Even if you're making a hype track, if you put good energy behind a hype track, you can say something. You can say crazy stuff. You can get real about it on the track, but it won't stick in the brain. It won't make them internalize it. You know what I mean? You don't
wow.
want
And
them to feel the same energy.
and real quickly, once you said that, one person I definitely an artist that I give a lot of credit to for kind of keeping that in mind is Joyner Lucas. Because if you listen to a lot of Joyner Lucas songs, Joyner Lucas is a real like his beats are real up tempo, and he keeps up with them too. But he's saying some shit though.
And it
Like
makes you
man,
pay attention a little bit more to what he's saying, and you got to think about that. But you're not internalizing the beat's not causing you to internalize the anger that he's feeling. It's forcing you to think about the anger. Yes, we must address some of the things he's said because he be
yeah,
preaching.
Joyner.
To
Hey
be
man, I
honest,
fuck with Joyner, man. I like Joyner a lot.
oh,
Shout out
most
to Joyner
definitely.
Lucas, man.
Real talk. I'm a
Hey,
keep it
come on,
real
hustle
here.
and
I'll be the
smoke one
first.
day, brother.
Facts, please. I'll be one of the first that I was a fan of his the first time I saw that. I can't tell you the name of it. It was this video where he narrated from two point of views. It was a very old video back in the day. He wasn't. I don't even think he put it up under his real name. And I watched this video. And I'm like, who is this dude? he impressed me so much. And I'm just like, who is this man? Because he rapped from two different point of views, but the beat had a certain sound to it. It was sad, but he was angry, and I was like, wow, it makes me think, but I'm not angry. So I
And
really
man,
do. I do appreciate like joining Lucas.
and real quickly, to go to stay on Joyner, most recently, and I kind of want to segue it into this next. He recently was talking about, he came out on a situation he had with Karen Civil back in the day, where apparently he had gave her a sum of bread to do this and that and the third, and the classic. I ain't gonna go through it. I ain't trying to slander. I'm just trying to
I
stay with the
understand.
topic and all that. And so keeping in mind what you just said, and how he literally, like, from the moment he kind of came out, it was lyrics, lyrics, lyrics. You think of that and you're like, man, like, this dude was like, almost like on his last legs with that bread. This was like his last bid. And like, you look at where he's at now, and it's like, man, let's talk a little bit about kind of like the corruption end of things. And do
Let's
you
get
do
it.
you have you personally seen that end of it? To what extent? If you could speak on it, of course. Go ahead, my brother.
I want to clear something up. I want to ask what you mean by the corruption, like how the money changes people, or
From the
how.
end of how you could go, like literally going off the Joyner Lucas situation that I just put forth, where he put his last bid in, and according to him, he was fucked all around. You know what I mean? And I want to talk about that end, where being an artist that wants to establish it's him or herself, like, can you speak a little to what that is, what that could be, or
So
whatever the case may be?
I understand what you mean, man. I've sat in quite a few deals, meetings, contract signings, and the problem becomes when the business looks at the artist not like a person with feelings and emotion whose music comes from a place of feeling and emotion, but they look at them as someone who can make them
Cattle,
more money.
cattle,
The, like,
cattle,
I want to say
cattle.
that, but even worse, you know what I mean?
Man,
At least they
sheesh.
got to care about what you eat. You know what I mean? At least cattle, we care about what they eat, what we feeding them, how they're fed, and how they're taking care of themselves.
Wow, that's
And
wow. I didn't even think of that.
because I want to
That's a
segue
fact.
real quick, like you said, the corruption will lead to certain things. I want to talk on from the Joyner Lucas situation to something that did hit home. It was the Juice World situation, brother. Uh, his contracts and his deals and the record labels were making sure he was taken care of financially. They were making sure his bills were paid. They were da 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 da. He have a, but at the back end of it, they didn't care about how he was doing mentally as a person and what was going on. And they kind of pushed that to the side, and they just said, well, we want more money out of you. Go on tour, do this, do that, do that, do that. And that takes its
Mhm.
toll.
Man, rest in peace to
When
the guy.
rest in peace. When they're corrupt, when the business is corrupt, it'll change the way the artist then has to be. And then that'll affect the
Right.
artist. And that'll affect the music. Then that affects the message they're trying to put out. And then we tend to ask, well, why did the artist change? It may not have been the artist's fault sometimes. Sometimes it was the corruption on the level higher beyond. They can't, if they have to, if the only way they can make music is to stay in this contract, you know, they have to do what the contract says. They have to abide by the contract and do and act as per the contract. Um, and they don't realize when trying to make it big and make it big for yourself, and you're getting in these contract situations, that it is very important to sit down and read these contracts, read them thoroughly, and understand what this means for you in the short term and the long term, for both you and your music. Because if there's one thing I want people to take away from this, as far as from contracts, understand one thing: they make two different contracts, one for you, the artist, and one for your music that you make. Read them
Oh
both very
wow.
carefully. Yes, there are two
Wow.
different contracts.
That's
Because in
interesting.
the thing,
So
you own a
go
name.
ahead.
It's like owning a part of a franchise or something. You know what I mean? They own the name. So like right now, let's say Eminem and Dr. Dre.
Mhm.
He signed to Aftermath. He signed to Shade 45. All that. He can't really do anything outside of company. He can't go right now and go to McDonald's and say, "Oh, I want you to name a Happy Meal after me called M&M meal." You know
Yeah,
why?
because his name is a proprietary of that
Boom.
enterprise.
But you know
Okay.
what Eminem could do? He could make a song that could be used in a McDonald's jingle and get paid for that and credited for that because
But
it's two
they
different
would have to
contracts.
see something like that, something from that as well, though.
Yes, you know they
Okay.
have to get a they still get
Go
a
figure.
cut, but you know that's one thing I want you to know when you sign these contracts, understand that every dollar you make, someone else is getting a cut of. Period.
Hands getting
Unless you
greased.
go independent, man. I tell
And
every artist, yo,
that's not
grind for
it's
you.
that's not what it's cracked out to be though. And so let's talk about that. How much of an advocate are you for going independent, keeping in mind the cost, the nuances, the energy, the yo, this might not hit, the gamble of it all. Like how much of an advocate, keeping everything in mind, are you of that?
I'm gonna say my bias first, and then I'm gonna tell you how much of an advocate. As someone who went the independent route, I will say for me, it's worked out because I'm the type of person and artist that needs that level of freedom. I need to be able
Mhm.
to talk to, network, and work with whoever I want to work with because it to me comes down to the person. That's be honest, Joe. You know that's how I found you. Like you found
Yeah,
me.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, it's just
Hmm.
talking to someone and understanding that their vibe and who they are as a good person. That I want to work with you. But
Right.
if my label or whatever, you know, whatever contract I was in said no, and now I can't work with you because they don't want me to, I would have a problem with that. And now I can't do, you know, that's part of the fun is
What
making
could
the
have been?
music.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
what
yeah.
could have been, all the joy and all the positive that could have been. If they're stopping that, that becomes a problem. That's my bias. But in the same hand, I also say if you come across a good contract and you read it well and it's good for you and in your situation that's what you want to do, I say run with it. Go with it. I'm an advocate for, you know, I'm an advocate for making it. Like you said, like part of some of our topics, man, like just making it. If that's how it comes about and you can make it that way, and you know everything in their contract works for you and they take care of you and you making sure that they're going to take care of you as an artist, best believe I couldn't be more proud of you. I'm always for that. On the same end though, if you go to back end round and you do this by yourself and you grind, I have the exact same respect for you because it is just as hard to get to work within. I find sometimes it can be just as hard to work within the confines of another business versus trying to work for yourself.
Yeah,
So
because a lot of what isn't accounted for, and this stretches across people that speak talks of entrepreneurship and ownership. It's like, man, there's a cost with it, and that it's considerably harder when you're playing with house money. You know what I mean? And every single dollar got to be accounted for. Where some of the times, and that's really the whole allure of it. I think wholeheartedly that if it wasn't for this, what I'm about to say, a lot of contracts wouldn't be signed. Is the backing? The fact that there's an entity that probably has the bread, and as long as you're doing the numbers and they know you're good for it, they're gonna give it. So
mhm.
it's definitely an amount of Jonas and Quad that goes into it, because it's not easy, even it's people that is still shy to go up to women. So imagine somebody really betting on themselves and going to start a business or
And
starting a independent music career.
that's why I have the same respect for them as I do someone who might have, you know, grinded in the scene and got noticed. Because, like I said, it's still at some point they both had the same bet on themselves. You understand? Like they both bet on themselves in the same way at one point in
Right.
time, and I respect it the same way. Even though I will say sometimes being on the independent circuit, it can be harder. I will say there's a certain fun to it. There is no one, like you said, house money. It really isn't any house money. This is all an investment in yourself. I go out right now and I buy
All
myself.
money in, like the great
Yeah,
Nipsey Hussle said.
I go right now and I buy myself a new beat machine. I don't have to worry about how many songs I put out on it. I have to worry about how well I get to use my machine. You know what I mean? There's a different worry.
Right,
I'm not
right.
worried about the dollar end on it. I'm not worried about the dollar end. I'm worried about how much I can create and how much better I can be overall, not just
Because
right now.
honestly, I just want to put this in there, and in that, the phrase "hard work pays off" is something of a school to me, because it really does, man. And I found myself in situations where, I kept my head up, where I was like, man, this is the end right here. And I saw the fruits of that. You know what I mean? And those moments is what hits the sweetest, because you're like, man, like, you put in the work, you put in the sweat, the tears, the whatever the fuck, but you did it. And now you get to now look at a situation at a bigger board, because that's really what it be like. It's, of course, there's people that think of fortune as like, yo, I want to have this amount of money and yada yada yada. But excuse me, me personally, the way I see it is, man, I just want enough to be able to live, man. And the bigger your bankroll is, the bigger the board becomes, just simultaneously.
True.
It just so happens to be a fact, and that's not to say that you can't make do with what you got, and make it flip. I mean, shit, man, it's dudes all over the
The
place
hustle
doing
is
that to
real.
this day. Oh, absolutely, man. Hustle and smoke, baby. We on it. Anyway,
You already
so
know.
all I'm saying is that, it's definitely it's a level of nuance that goes there, because as people, we tend to romanticize the idea of the overnight riches, and it's just it just don't hit like that, man. And
Even
the
if
mental
someone tells
fortitude
you,
gotta be there.
yeah, you have to have a certain mindset to even receive those type of blessings. You
Blessing.
know what I mean?
Hmm.
You gotta. If you're not in the right mental headspace for them, you're gonna essentially what we call fumbling the bag. You're gonna fumble the bag. You can fumble your way out
Right,
of a
right, right,
blessing.
right, right.
You know what I mean? So it's not overnight. You really do have to put the work in and acknowledge. Put the work in, but also acknowledge your growth. I say that. Like you got to put the work in, understand that there's always room to grow, and you got to keep at it to stay where you are.
Right.
But understand that you got to pat yourself on the back and be like, well, I took 2 steps today. I'm gonna take 2 steps tomorrow. But I'm not at ground. I'm not at step zero no more. You know what I mean? I'm
Right.
moving
No,
forward.
absolutely.
Give yourself
And I
that
mean,
credit.
that's that exactly, bro. Exactly. I find that motherfuckers be too hard on themselves, man. And it's already so much out here to be hard on yourself about. Like, the last thing you should do is be hard on yourself,
Right.
and
We got the
as it's
world to be
easy.
hard on us. Why do we have to be so hard on
Shit.
ourselves?
And that's the thing, man. I definitely think that goes hand in hand with the quote unquote mental health crisis. Because it's like, you go out there, and you walk into these different people from person to person, and some people just have it written in their face, and it's like, man, you think of, I speak for myself on this one for sure. Like, I tend to be a more glass half full type of person, so I might not be having the best day, but I might look for a reason to look forward to tomorrow, though. I might look forward to a reason to look forward to the next few hours after the job or some shit like that. So
There's
it's
always
like,
another reason to go on. Something you want to do for you
yes, I
that makes you
wholeheartedly agree,
happy.
but that's the thing, bro. It's such a disconnect there I'm seeing from just the outside world to that concept. And I feel like we got to normalize it, like, it's only right, because people, people that resort to things is because they feel like they don't got no more options. And
Yeah.
it's just, it's a beauty in being able to wake up and try it again the next day, man. That's all I'm saying.
Because the next day is always a new chance to start something new. I'm a firm believer that you should try to live, a little bit better than you did the day before. If you did,
And that's on
X
the
amount of
simplest thing.
times, you gotta do it a little bit more today. Even if it's just like getting out of bed. If all you did was get out of bed today, and that's your accomplishment, cool. Tomorrow you need to get out of bed and do something else. Just add on, like
Mm.
build good habits, and then you have good routines. You know what I mean? And it
And
tends
of
to pull
course,
people out their mental.
keep in mind that pace is also very important as well. You can't
Word.
think you a Ferrari and you just gonna go and be first place. You gotta see the beauty in the process, man. I was listening to a Benny the Butcher track, and he was saying
Mm,
how, shouts out to Benny the Butcher and the whole Griselda. But he was saying how, it's a beauty in being broke. You know what I mean? It's a beauty in the knowledge you gain from you grinding coming from that spot in life,
So I
And I was,
definitely got to tap into that.
and real quickly before you do, I just want to say that to me, that shit was so profound, bro. Man, shouts out to Benny, man. Once again, hey Benny, if you ever
Benny,
want to come on, brother. Hustle and Smoke got a chair for you, my brother. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
about that, man. It's like about the grind, honestly, about the hustle and the smoke. I'm noticing, and I had a lot of conversations with a lot of different artists, producers, different sides of the game about this, and they all seem to agree. There's definitely a different energy and a different sound to people who are hustling and grinding on their music currently, who have to hustle and grind for their music, versus them or others after they've made it. What happens when what made your sound so great was the fact that you actually hustled every day for your music. You every second in the booth was not guaranteed. Every second in the booth was not, you didn't know you were going to go there every day when
Like
you
there was
wanted
a
to go.
sense of urgency.
Yes, and the music had this sense of urgency, your energy, your delivery, even your style and performance, because at that point you are your hustle. You know what I mean? They are their product, what they saying, their lyricism. But once they
Right.
make it, after they get the money, after everything's all right, their sound tends to change because, or we don't gravitate to them the same because, well, we can't relate. What happens when you talking about hustling and this and da da da, but you're driving a Ferrari right now, or you want to make songs about trapping, or this has been my best example is like trap stars who make songs about them currently trapping. That makes no sense to me. You're not trapping. If I sit in a mansion all day and I'm selling drugs or something, so I don't want to monetize or nothing. But if I'm doing things I shouldn't be doing,
No. Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah. Go ahead, brother.
and if I'm doing things I shouldn't be doing, and making money off that, that's not really hustling. That's just another day. You know what I mean?
Nah,
There's
to
no
me,
urgency
that's
to it.
definitely that's definitely ass backwards because as people, we got to keep in mind our goals and be in tune with how far we are from our goals. From I don't want to say a day to day because it's hard. I know I couldn't keep track of how far from the day to day, but periodically though, keeping in mind that listen, this is what I'm in it for. If you got a number in your mind, remember that. Okay, cool. I'm this far. I got $2 now. I just need another 100, and I'm out.
And there's a certain
And
energy from that though. That's the hustle, the
exactly.
mentality, and the
No,
music tends to
I
change
agree.
when they lose that. I don't know why. I
I
know we
mean,
know why, but
it's a complacency aspect, but also, to me, like, and once again, I'm not gonna go too far into what I'm about to say. I'm gonna just put on the tin hat for a second, but to me, it's like that's what sells. So and look, a lot of people aren't hip to that realization that you made that there's all these cats that are living in mansions. Their kids are dressed in all type of fancy leathers and linens and stuff, and they have the whole 9 yard. And you'll see that they'll still glorify or still will be in the midst of what, like, the hood, or will be in the midst of this and that. And it's like, to me, that's ass backwards because at this point you already made it, and it's understandable. You come in with a certain image. Not everybody could shift over and all of that. I mean, for example, French Montana, when he started out,
mm,
and people was talking, they couldn't understand him and all this other nonsense. I understood every word he said, man.
yeah,
Shouts
me
out to
too.
French,
But
by
I
the way.
understand
Um,
for real.
and not everybody could do that. Like, look at French now. He's still, I'm sure he's still one of the most top 10 mainstream rappers in the game right now. So when you look at that, you're like, man, like, not everybody could do that shift. So I get that, people gonna rap about what they gonna rap about, but at the same time, um, people like to say that, it's a persona, so when does it stop being a persona? Like, when does it become, something else? When does it become a vision of, philanthropy outside of, giving some turkeys or whatever the fuck? Because
So I'm gonna
you
tap
know
in.
what I
I
mean.
agree with you. I understand what you're saying, and I agree with that. And that's a whole. I'm gonna be honest. I'll touch on one thing. That's where my name came from. It was actually I didn't choose this name, funny enough. This was a name given to me by a bunch of friends after a really hard time of some stuff, and they were going through a lot, and they tripped a little bit, and then I just helped them through all of it and processed through it with them, and sat down and
That's what's
talked,
up, bro.
and
That's
that's
what's
how they
up, man.
felt. I feel with your persona, you should do something good with it, or no matter what it is, like, after a while, your persona should be an extension of you trying to do something better
Right.
or a better version of you. If
Right.
not, but it shouldn't be a complete separation. You know what I mean? Too many people are separating themselves from their persona. Like you said, when do you separate the persona from the thing? After a certain point, yes, you should. But if you did everything right, you shouldn't have to. Like here, example is like Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne is not a persona. Lil Wayne is Lil Wayne. He just changed his name a little bit. You know what I mean? Like he's how
Wow.
he acts in his interviews. Obviously on stage, that's a persona. That's hyping it up for the stage. But if you ever watched his interviews, that's genuinely how he talks. That's genuinely how he feels. That's genuinely how he reacts to
Oh
certain
yeah, he's real
situations.
outspoken,
So
bro. He's a
yeah,
real
and he is.
outspoken dude, man.
But
Shouts out
that's
to Wayne,
genuinely
man.
how he is. Sounds like the Wayne. Always. They don't again. Let's draw it back. They don't give him enough credit for how he was a lot of inspiration for a lot of these rappers out here, and that there was a template out here that they followed that he
Man,
did help pave the way on.
before Wayne, bro, are you kidding me, man? With Aunt Millie days, and he was skateboarding with skinny jeans, no shirt on, dreads, all popping.
And he
Like,
was getting called
bro,
out for it, and he was saying
he
like, "Oh,
was,
you
yeah.
weird." Da, 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 da.
And now
And then
look,
what happened right after that?
we got little Uzi Verts, we got all type of things, man, and
And
that's a beautiful thing, bro. That's
it is.
transcendent, that's transcendent, and that's the thing, no matter how quote unquote bad or trash or whack we say the music is these days, there's still transcendence. Like there's Uzi at this point is like a veteran, damn near a fucking senior, where you got even younger cats that took stuff from him and not from the lyric aspect or copyright aspect, but like took
From the
from
persona.
what there you go, and then jazzed it up. Go ahead, put it out how they did, and like I said, man, and that's why music, like to me, it's like it'll always be a thing, man. It's like healthcare, it'll always be a thing because no matter what, it's gonna be the thought that I can do it better, so I'm gonna either try or shut the fuck up and listen to whatever's out right now. You understand?
Yeah.
So
My thing is
it's a
that
real
I agree
beautiful
with you.
thing,
Do it
man.
better or do it different. That's my thing. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Like you got to do it better or do it different. If you can do somebody's style better than them, go out and tackle it and prove your worth. If you want
But
to do
be
something
humble about it
different,
too, though.
oh yeah, give respect.
Because
It's just
don't get
gonna
it
be
twisted.
hard.
It's a sport. You know what I mean? You love the sport aspect, but you also you want to, if you want to make good bones where you want to stay at. You know what I mean? If you, just like they say, if you had a job just for the summer, you're not gonna give a fuck. But if you know you're gonna have to grind out a couple years and try to move up the ladder and shit, it's gonna behoove you to do certain things as opposed to, oh, and not look at it as, oh, why is this person
Yeah.
chilling the fuck out and I'm busting my ass. Maybe y'all just on two different sides of the spectrum,
Thinking
and
about the job in perspective a little differently. You have different energies about it. You got a goal in mind, and they may not, or
right.
they looking at it as a temporary. While you look at
They
it as
passive. They in passive.
yeah, they in passive mode. You in active mode. This for you is your hustle right now. For them, this might not be their hustle. This might just be a side hustle. So they don't care so much. It's
Man,
all about where
and it
that
goes,
priority level lies. Huh?
it
Some
definitely
people
goes
prioritize
deep
different
across the
things.
board, man. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
absolutely, dude. Absolutely. So
Especially
let's talk about this 27 thing though, man. What's up with the 27 thing, brother?
all
Let
right.
us in on
So
that.
first
We
and
have the
foremost,
exclusive with Hustle and
we got
Smoke.
the exclusive because everybody
Oh
asks.
shit.
It's easy. Most times I don't want to tell nobody because everybody just like, oh, all right. So,
Oh
um,
shit.
first and foremost, my very first
Mm-hmm.
tattoo over here. I don't know if I can clearly show y'all real quick. I'm gonna try to get
Oh,
it
this
on the
dude just
camera.
flexing. He just flexing
Just
right
a
now.
little, just a little bit, just a little
I've
bit.
been working. I've been working out lately.
I've been in the gym.
I've been working out lately. Lucky. Now go
I
ahead
don't know
though.
if you can see clearly, but it actually says
It looks like
27 in
what is that,
Roman
like a
numerals.
pyramid? What is that, like a pyramid?
It's actually a pyramid with a jester hat.
Wow, that's deep. That's
I
deep.
drew the whole thing myself. and in the bottom corner it is 27 in Roman numerals. The
Right.
reason why 27 always is because my birthday is actually 10/27, October 27th, and I will always
Wow.
be
Okay.
connected to that.
Coming
Yes,
up,
very
man.
soon, very
Mine is
soon.
November
I will be
28th.
having something soon. A fellow Scorpio. Oh no, just the tail end. You just missed
Nah.
Scorpio.
Oof, yes, I'm sad, brother. But
But
hey,
we, but
man,
we
brothers
vibe, we
nonetheless,
vibe.
man. Believe me.
Nonetheless,
Go ahead, my
nonetheless,
brother.
we both love Halloween. You know how it is.
Hey, man, I do
Um,
love me some Halloween, dog.
oh
I don't
man,
know
yeah,
if
you
it's
know
for
what I
the right
mean.
reasons, but hey, I still love
Hey,
it.
love is
Allegedly.
love.
Love is love. Yes, sir. Go ahead, though,
Love is
man.
love. Um, I did
So it
have a.
wasn't deeper than that, though. I feel like
It is. I'm
oh,
getting
go
into that.
ahead.
Sorry, brother. So it is
As deep
personal to
as
me as
you
far
want
as
to go,
that.
though, man. I don't want to force you.
You
You
know,
know what I
because
mean?
we did touch upon it earlier. So it did have something to do with the 27 Club. Listening and growing up, a lot of my influences, even more modern-ish, ended up being 27 Club members after the fact. So like growing up, I was very into, because of my father, and I want to give like all the shout outs and props to him for a lot of my musical exposure. Very diverse, because while I'm listening to Luther Vandross, Earth, Wind and Fire, I'm also listening to Eric Clapton. I'm listening to the Beatles. I'm listening to Jimi Hendrix.
Ooh,
Jimi
Eric
Hendrix is one of
Clapton.
those.
Sheesh.
Oof. I
Heard
will
him.
say.
Eric Clapton.
I will
Okay.
say right now. I'll put this out there. Like, he is definitely one of the biggest inspirers as far as why I got into picking up a
Inspiration.
guitar.
Hmm.
Like, he's one of the greatest inspirations, and he is like the way he used to tackle music from I want to do it different standpoint. You know what I
Right.
mean? More his creative
Pioneer, like a
process.
pioneer type of
Yes, he was
situation.
ready to challenge the status quo at the time with his own sound, and I will always
Man,
respect
shouts
that
out to
because
Pops, man. It
OGs,
takes a
and you gotta
certain,
love them and respect them.
it takes a certain cat to want to challenge the status quo. Even to this day, brother. Look at what we're facing, man. We I ain't gonna say the word, but we know it. You know what
Going
the
through a
thing
lot.
you gotta get, if you want to go anywhere else. You know what I'm saying? And that's all we gonna say. It's a level of people like not wanting to rock the boat and then not being able to have the option to, because it's like, man, I got to do this. I gotta keep this going. I gotta keep that
And
going.
sometimes you
It's
got to
real
either
deep,
find the
man.
person rock the boat that's rocking the boat and help them. If you're not gonna be the person to rock the boat and that's your shit and that's what you're into, help them rock the boat. If you're not gonna be the person, help the person. If not, stand
Wow.
out their way. Um, you know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yes.
And it really comes
Yes,
down to
Lord.
that. If you want to help, I'm really one of those people. If you want to help, by all means, we will take any support, any help. No matter how big, how small, we do not reject it because help is love, and we accept all of it. And if you're not down, if you don't want to, or that's not what you're into, we have love for you all the same. But also, we have an ideal and a movement we trying to do here.
Man, nah, that's a
Progress is
fact,
progress.
bro. And staying on deck with it, and keeping in mind that that is in fact what you want to do. You want to champion this movement. You want to make sure that your immediates know it. You want to make sure that people that is in your circle, because you can't really control the outside world, even though we convince ourselves that we can. I know myself from time to time. I don't know the scope of everybody else, but it's definitely a level of man, it goes deep, man. It definitely goes deep, brother. From
Very deep.
especially going from person to person, because every person is different, going through a different thing, seeing shit differently. Some people blind, some people got 20/20 vision.
And to
So
touch
it's
back on
literally
something we said,
figuratively.
why I personally like my independent artist status is because it allows me to do that. It allows me to actually connect and talk with people one on one, and they're not worried about dealing with a business. I'm not worried about dealing with the business. I care about you. I'm worried about how you feel because first
Right.
and foremost, no business. People got to realize business deals and all of that are important. 100% how you conduct. But if you don't care about the other person on the end of the business deal, how do you expect them to care about you on the other end of it? Or if you're trying to work with someone,
Right.
if you don't show care and love and some sort of respect, casual, calm, cool respect to them,
Dog, it's
how do you
literally
expect it back?
Hey man, value for value, my brother. If and that's the thing, man. That's another disconnect though. People just want to be giving, 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 and it's like it's crazy to run into people like that because the world just keeps turning. So regardless of the fact, man, you might get away once, twice, three times, but like it hits different when you lose a motherfucker because you done basically like used up your whatever points you think you had or like goodwill runs dry at some point is what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
yeah, yeah.
And
If it has to be mutual.
and that's the thing, man. Like I always like even with myself, I find myself checking myself, on situations where it's like, dude, like, it's two people in this situation. So in the end of the day, I know that yeah, these is my interests, but I'm also interested in trying to further whatever this is. You know what I mean? So it might behoove me to keep in mind that the next person in this situation has an interest as well. And like I said, it's a concept that I feel like it's got to be within one to see it and feel it or whatever. But that's really where a lot of things go awry because you end up thinking that, oh, this person almost owes me this or whatever, and then your demeanor comes off a certain way, and then you get apologetic about it, and then that's a cycle where by the time you get there, you're not thinking about it, but really you could have just stopped way before it got there. You know what I mean?
And
And
I'm gonna agree
and
with you
it
100% on that.
it goes to me, it goes hand in hand with pride and all this other bullshit we tell ourselves that it is. But at the same time, it's also up to us to skew the reality that we want to really see, for us. So,
We control
you
our
know,
narrative, bro. Like
no doubt about it.
if you want to be better and do better,
Contrary to popular
you can
belief, by the way.
make that belief. Yeah, like we can like people, people like to give too much credit and say like, "Oh, this is outside of my
It's the
control. This is
government.
outside of
It's
my
the
control."
government.
No,
It's the
no,
government.
man.
It's
Dude,
like,
like
man,
real talk, if you keep thinking that way, yeah, it's going to be that way
it's
because
just
you
gonna
think it's
follow you,
that
bro.
way.
It's gonna
And it's
follow
just
you,
going to,
bro.
like you said, it's just going to follow you and then you end up in that situation. It's like I don't want to sound all, out there. I'm going to put on my tinfoil hat real quick, which is,
Oh shit.
you do slightly manifest what you ask for. You talk about
Oh, are
what
you
what
fucking
you put
kidding
into
me?
work.
Yeah.
All right, so
Yeah.
cool. So you understand. So this ain't too crazy. So if you always talking like, oh, the government doing this, the government doing that, even if the government wasn't doing it right then and
Or
there,
was.
like now you putting in the energy in the air, and now they are, or now you don't know, and now you put in speculation. Why you want to make the next person scared? You know what I mean?
Well,
That seems like to me
the thing
spreading
is, to
fear.
me, it's like it's cool if you want to put it out, but man, read a book or something. Don't,
Don't put out false
motherfuckers will
information. That makes me mad.
go on Twitter and shit, and maybe not even put it out, but you gotta understand, just because you're not retweeting it doesn't mean you're not carrying an idea with you to the next interaction you have in real time. Just like, how many times have you not been near a coworker that I guess you speak to or whatever from time to time, and you're like, man, you talking about some a meme or some shit. Like that's an idea that you're carrying with you, and you're introducing it to the next person. They
True.
can choose to reject it or not. But in that equation, you're carrying it with you. And it's like a game of telephone. That's
You're
why
carrying that and
telephone
all the energy and whatever it is behind that.
and that's why telephone is what it is, man. By the time you get to the last person, they done heard some shit that the first person said the other way around, and it's like, man, like it's nuances, bro. You gotta want to seek them out. You gotta want to respect them.
You gotta be someone who is actively searching for not just knowledge for knowledge sake, but accurate knowledge. Because you don't want, like you said, you don't want to hold on to an ideal that is
Man,
wrong, or you don't
yeah,
want to hold on to a concept that's outdated.
because if you go in a room, you gotta keep in mind that not every situation is alike. You could be in a room where you say some shit, it'd be three motherfuckers in there. You might be talking to one of them, the other one's just in the cut. And whatever you said, if that person didn't receive it the right way, it might depend on where you at. There could be consequences. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like it's all like I said, man. Words are spells, man. And what spell you put out is what you put out.
And that's why you
And it's
try to make sure, like you said, words are spells. You want to try to make sure what you're saying and what you're spreading is either accurate, so that it's not wrong, or at least positive in the world, you know what I mean, or contributing to what's going on.
Exactly, my brother. So what I want to talk about next, I want to get into because this hustle and smoke. So we gotta talk a little bit about the cannabis industry.
Oh,
So, I know you said you were Mr. Connoisseur yourself. So a couple questions. Have you been to well, you're in one now, because all the laws are in play. Apparently, you could walk down Central Park smoking a J. I once got a ticket for smoking a joint at Central Park many, many moons ago.
same.
But guess what? I am mad though, NYPD. Shouts out to you guys, man, allegedly. But all I'm saying is, it's have you been to a weed legal state? What was the experience like? Did you hit up the store end? Did you stay with the black market? Let me know a little bit about that first.
So in New York right now, currently New York City, it is.
No, I'm saying outside. No, so I'm saying outside of New York. Before New York passed, have you been to a recreational legal state?
Yes. Once briefly, what was it? I believe it was Colorado. Colorado was one of the early ones to get it decriminalized and made
I think they were the
recreational for
first.
medicals.
Them and Cali were the first.
Yeah, I didn't run the I think Cali was like the first. I can't quite remember, but I ran right to the quickest one, the cheapest flight I could get out to the most legal place in the state. And honestly, I'm gonna say this was about 4 or 5 years ago. I want to say about 20, just a little bit ago, because like that was right after it became legal in the state, so it wasn't that too long ago. And comparatively, at the time, the dispensaries had like the black market beat at the time. Like I'm talking
Right.
quality
Wow,
wise,
really? Okay.
quality wise, price wise, I definitely paid way more for an eighth of weed than I ever would ever again. Like I'm gonna put that out there bluntly. I should not be paying $100 for 3 grams unless it's the crazy like medical, like
The Zaza.
not even the Zaza. I want the stuff that Zaza looks at and gets jealous of.
I want the shit the Zaza smokes.
Yes, that's the shit that Zaza smokes, and then
You're a funny guy for that,
yeah.
man.
But they had it beat as far as quality and selection. I will say across the board. Now I'll say selection wise, that is something I'm noticing dispensaries now have kind of lost. The street game has gotten a little bit more aggressive as far as the black market side. You know,
Wow, that's interesting. Talk about that a
because
little, bro.
all right, let's go. I'm gonna pull out. Excuse me
Because
one second.
whoa, you gonna pull
Let me
out,
just pull
man.
out my bong. Oh.
And that's the thing, man. So real quickly, I'm currently real interested to see what the reaction of legalization, the front end, the store ends open, the storefronts, excuse me, opening, and like thinking of the gentleman that probably sold himself a dime bag to make sure he got a sandwich in the end of the day. You know what I mean? Or make sure his child has some Pampers or something like that. Like how will they be cut out from the market? Because you gotta, one thing that nobody really thinks about, because I mean, why think about it, right? But you're cutting out somebody in this
Somebody's
equation.
down taking a loss. Somebody who was
Somebody's
making
taking a
money.
big loss, by the way, a big loss, because you'll have a bunch of people that have always dreamt of going into a store that sold pot and had it like a fucking candy store, and they're gonna go to that store front at least once. And if they love it once, they're gonna do it again. Believe me. When I moved out here, bro, it was literally instantaneous, bro. I fell in love with the first time my first dispensary was in Oregon, like years before I moved to Oregon. And I loved the experience then. I loved the experience from the minute I got here. I loved it so much that I made a career at it. So
Good one at
and
that,
and,
bro.
and that's the thing. Hey man, listen, I do what I do. It's days I'm looking at the jaw like, man, I could have more. It's days where I have a little more than I should. That's the balance of life. But
No.
what I want to get at is, people are gonna romanticize being able to go to the stores. So I'm very interested to see who is it gonna be that's like taking the biggest hit. And with
I
that being
want to show
said,
you
I
something.
want you to give your take on that specifically,
I
if
got
you
two
have one.
stories for that. As far as that on mine and what it has been personally and what I've seen and even people I procure from. Some of them are on the higher end, some are on the lower end, some of them are somewhere in between. What I'm noticing is it is forcing them to rethink how they do the game they do. You know, how you even just market yourself, how you even like now they have to think about that. You know what I mean? There's a new
So
aspect to
evolution,
weed game. Yeah, there's been a slight evolution in the weed game and how even the street dealers and street level people have to understand it. And it has become that you can market yourself. You can tell people you want to be the person people are talking about on the block now. Before it was very shady, you know, you had to have a reference or you want to talk to somebody who talked to somebody, you know. Now everybody realizing no, being the person who is out front, you know, above board doing this actively is how you get a following and how you get good clientele in business and stay in business because if you can't get dispensary level all the time, you then have to become banking on your reliability and you know word of mouth. Um,
right?
on the other end of that, I've seen the same evolution. I've seen people take to drastic means. I want to show you something. Actually, I have an example with me just for this because I figured we might have to talk about this. Is this? Um, this is how some dealers are now doing this. This is a weed truck up in New York. I'm not gonna show no names because you know we talk yet. But
Nothing for sale, baby. Nothing for
mm,
sale.
uh, I can't say that.
Let what? Hey, listen, I can say that.
They have an actual. They showed me their license and everything. They have a vending truck. It's an actual, not the weed
Well,
truck, like not the
if you
thing
can't
truck.
say it, I can, my brother. Nothing for sale. I don't have
Nothing
nothing
for
to say.
sale. Nothing for sale. This is not
Go
me. I
ahead,
am
though.
not endorsing it. But this is how people are having to give out their product now. You know what I mean? You can't just talk to somebody. They want to give you a paper that has it, and they're doing it like a business. They're giving out flyers. What happens when now in New York you're getting flyers for weed? You know what I mean? Dudes are handing you pieces of paper
Man,
telling you, you can do this, you can get this or this and this. This is the THC level because they understand they have to compete with dispensaries doing the exact same thing. Um, they're just trying to catch up, and the ways they're trying to catch up are I'm finding that evolution is very ingenuitive. You know what I mean?
right. Mhm.
They're coming at it differently because they can't move the same way a business would. Um, but like I said, in the same vein, you know how we both know those weed trucks, the normal weed trucks that you know do edibles and stuff, whatever, that tend to drive around in places. Um, it's not like that. I'm seeing more and more places like that pop up. People who are themselves personally starting up their own cannabis business because they themselves are either a patient or have a medical marijuana card or it is what it is. And they're just opening up shop. I'm seeing people literally open up shops now in New
Mm.
York City that are
Wow.
that's what I'm trying to say. That's what this example was for. I'm seeing people open up their own homemade mom and pop weed shops versus trying to open up a weed dispensary store to compete with the dispensaries, you know, almost I want to say reliability factor. Like you go into a dispensary, you know what you're going to get. That's the whole point. Um, you know, the street level is still trying to catch up
Mm.
to that level of understanding. Like, you know, the dispensaries have taken some of the science and made it
Man,
accessible
dudes
to
don't even got
people.
printers in their houses.
Yeah, and but homies is handing out flyers now, and I'm like, again, I want to say even 5 years ago, you had told me a homie was doing that, I'd have been like, yo, that's a setup. Like you bugging. That's a joke. Really? That's sus. No, now I look at it, I'm like, damn, that's normal. Him and three other homies, you know what I mean? Like they all do stuff like that, and I've seen other businesses open up. So as far as how the decriminalization and the legalization of weed has changed, you know, how people are getting their bread, they're having to figure out that they have to step their game up somehow. And if you're going
Right.
to be in the hustle, you're going to have to do all aspects. You know, you can't just get away with flour. You can't get away with just, you know what I mean? I see people who used to just sell
Dabs.
flour, you know, not even, you can't get away with just flour and wax. You have to have, I would say, you know, if you're going to do a cannabis
Edibles.
business, do a cannabis business. Like you got to go edibles, flowers, tinctures, teas, all of that, CBD. You know, because you're competing with people who, you know, have a little bit of a leg up. You know, they're in a
Right.
state where
Yeah,
they can open up
absolutely.
these businesses and do
Mhm.
this stuff and get these permits, and you're trying to. So you gotta
Got the
come
money.
at it a different way. And I personally, I will be very honest, I support a few personal homies. They know who they are because of that, the reason you said. What happens when you know where your money is going, and that I know for a fact that, you know, if I do this, he's probably going to spend the money to buy diapers for such and such, or, you know, take care of such and such. You want to make sure at
Mhm.
the end of the day you're supporting something better than just, you know, what's going on. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I do feel that some people do still carry that freedom that comes with smoking weed and enjoying cannabis, that says, I'm not just doing this because it's good for me. I also want to support someone else at the end of the day. Um,
Mm.
at the end of the day, cannabis and weed to me is still a person interaction. That's the reason why we have sites. You know what I mean? Smoking was not
Mm.
always, and I'm gonna take it real back, just a quick history lesson. We didn't always smoke by ourselves. We never, you know what I mean? Even in the hood, even in groups, we never smoked by ourselves. Even back in the day, the conversation of smoking was in a group. So you should care about the other person, even if it's the person selling it to you.
Yo, real quickly, bro. I got a question for you, my G.
What's up?
So I'm actually very, very interested in this conversation right now, bro. I'm digging it. How's about we move this to the IG live, man? How we feeling, bro? We tapped out, we tapped in. How we feeling, man?
Hey, I can go with you. Anyway, let's get it, bro.
Man, all right.
IG.
So yo,
Like,
with that being said, we're gonna wrap it up for the YouTubes real quick. Any last thoughts for the people? Go ahead, my brother.
man,
Man, I'm like, yo, hold
we cover a
up
lot of
there. Did I
topics
answer? Did I
and
ask the
going through a
wrong
lot. And
question? Hold up.
I feel we
Oh,
broken.
whoa.
No, you asked the word because we've broken through a lot of things. But the last thing I
Shit.
want everyone to take from this is understanding that, you know, the music you listen to and the people you talk to matter.
Oh, excuse me.
Take better
Yes,
care of
yes.
yourself. Be a little easier on yourself, and understand that you should have a little bit more compassion for the person you're dealing with. Especially if
Right,
you're doing
right,
business.
right.
Like I want to put
Yo,
that out there, especially if you're doing business. Please have a little bit more love and care for them, and check up on
dude,
them. Like what's stopping us from checking up on each other outside of business, regardless
dude.
of, like, let's say
Oh
you
my
something you want to do
goodness.
business with, or you have, just check up on them. Be like, yo, what's stopping us from saying, yo, bro, how are you? A simple how are you goes a long way, and I want everyone to know that a simple how are you can go a long way for someone, and you may not even know it. Check up on your homies.
Wow, man. So I want to double down on that and say that have more compassion with everyone in your life, man. I'm learning, especially these days, that you're gonna have a lot less patience for a lot less shit. And it might come from the people that you love the most, but you gotta have compassion. You gotta think of the next person perspective. Especially if you talking some big shit like, yo, I wanna, level up and start a family, or I want to level up and have a business. Everything got to be looked at from the same lens. So,
Mm-hmm.
with that being said, my brother, any you want to? Oh shit! I'm watching the game right now. Hold up. Anything you want to plug in? You want to plug in your socials again? Let the people know where to find you one more time, and then we'll
Yo,
sign off.
absolutely. I'm gonna plug one good homie because I can't even front. This is Hustle and Smoke, so you know, nothing for sale. But you know, you can always find my
Man, that's a
boy
sick. That's a sick sticker, man.
HOC House of Connoisseur out here. No, I don't know. You can check out his page. See what's up. Um, Damn, luxury foods, cause yo, they the only way we do all these munchies, man. This music don't stop unless I eat.
Man, God,
uh,
God, shit, God bless
you
to that,
already
man.
know. Oh man, and yo, it's hippie black Jesus everywhere, all one word. Everywhere you listen to music or stream, or you just want to chat, hit me up. You know, I love everybody, man. Yo,
Man, and
definitely
I'm
go.
sure
Yo,
everybody.
also I want you to know, yo, go follow Joey. Check out everything he got, cause like every artist on there. I've gone through a few of these, and like, everybody has their own unique energy, and I just had a great experience watching him just do his thing, man, and being a part of this was amazing.
Yo, so with that, bro, last remarks from me. Thank you so much, man. Honestly, man, I always extend it to the people that come on, because in the end of the day, I'm very conscious. Oh, I always say that I'm conscious that I know people that maybe would love to work with me, but maybe they not too much of a camera face, or maybe they don't talk in front of the camera too much. And I always keep that in mind. And I always say that to say that there's no hard feelings to anybody that don't come through. If anything, all I can ask is for you to look at it live or look at it the playback. But in the end of the day, we're gonna keep putting these out. We're gonna keep reaching out to the different demographics.
Absolutely.
And we're gonna keep having dope people like my man Hippie Black Jesus. I said I wasn't gonna say it, but I said it. Okay, I said it. So outside of that, YouTube's, hey, if y'all want to continue this, y'all catch me on the Instagram live. My man, we might not be there too long, but we're gonna talk a little more. I have a couple more things I want to run by him. Hopefully more people join us over there. Thank you to everybody that joined us here. Y'all some amazing people. I hope you join me next week because I promise the show will go on. Peace. I'm signing off. See y'all on the next. And with that, we formally sign off. As you know, I'm Joey. Joey's me. Peace out. Thank you for tapping in.